What's up YouTube? Welcome back to another episode, here on Sam's Creative Toolbox. Like always, my name is Sam. You can also find me here on Facebook. And today I'm gonna show you how to create a beautiful photo collage animation in After Effects. So these kind of animations are, in my opinion, super great, for example, for weddings. So you can really create some nice, some slideshows with this animation. It's good for a birthday, so all kind of that, let's say, magic moments. Like always, I would say let's meet in After Effects and have some fun. Okay guys, in After Effects we start like always by closing the current project and create new composition. I choose a size of full HD, so 1920 by 1080 pixels. The composition name, let's call it construction comp, because this will be the comp where we put everything together, make the camera animation and so on. And the duration really depends on how many images you want to show. So for example, in my case, I will just use maybe 2 or 3 images as demonstration purpose. Of course, if you have more images, just choose a length of maybe 1, 2 or 3 minutes. Always please keep in mind that it's always easier to shorten the comp than to make it longer, so it's better to always use maybe a bit longer duration than a shorter one. So with that being said, let's click OK. And the first thing I usually do is set up my project structure. So what I want to do for this project is create also for each image a new composition. So click this new comp icon here on the bottom, or go to composition and do composition again. And this time I want to call it maybe image 1. Of course you can also import videos, just by the way. The length is or the duration is the same as for construction comp, and then just click OK. Then after that I want to select my image number 1 and hit Ctrl D or go to edit duplicate. And just duplicate it as often as you want. For example, like I said, I now want to show 3 images, so I will just do it 3 times. And after that it's now time to import the footage. So just the 3 images I want to show, just some images of my black and white photography folder. And also a background. In my case it's a wooden texture. Of course you can use basically everything you want. For example, things which look good are old paper, some cork textures, and also some different kind of wood textures. So in my case I will now take this one right here. Just select the images and drag it into After Effects. And like always, you know that I like to stay organized, so I will create a new folder right here. Call this one footage, for example, and then just move all the images inside that footage folder. Of course, if you have maybe 50 images, you want to create another folder which is called images, one folder for the textures and so on. But as I said, I only have 3 or 4 images right now, so it's quite okay to know where everything is. After that it's now time to import our first image to our image number 1 comp. So I will just click and drag my first image inside that composition. Of course the image is way too big, so I will scale it down, so maybe something like that. Of course you don't have to choose a size of HD, you can also choose a size which is more about the photo format, so maybe 4:3 ratio, it's really up on you. And after that I want to first drag my wooden background here in my construction comp. But this texture I don't want to scale, because later on I want to animate the camera across this background. So after that, let's also import our image number 1, just on top of our wooden background. Okay, and after that it's now time to create or import our photographic frames. For example, you can also use a Polaroid texture. In my case, I will just use a white frame as you saw in the example. So I will right click, new, and choose solid. Let's call it, I don't know, maybe photo frame. Click OK. First change the color to white. Okay, click OK as well. And after that, I want to activate my, my grid right now. And then just take your rectangle tool. And depending how thick you want your frame, you can now choose, for example, 2 squares. But I think I will now choose only 1. Just draw a nice rectangular mask. Okay. Just something like that. Of course, now choose subtract. And now you have your beautiful white frame around your image. Then let's make the grid invisible again. Okay. Let's make that fit also. What I then did was right click the photo frame, choose layer styles and drop shadow. And as you can see, I just get this nice shadow here on the inside. Of course, you don't have to do it, but I personally like this version better than the version without, because in my opinion it looked a bit too clean. So of course you can now play around with the drop shadow, maybe increase the distance to 10 and the size also to 10, so it gets a bit more smooth, and the opacity maybe, yeah, just to 50%. Then hit U to close all settings, and let's zoom out again. And what we now have is, yeah, just the image with a nice wide photo frame. Of course, this photo frame is now way too big, because as you saw in the preview, we want 2, 3 or 4 of these frames all across our image. But before we want to do that, let's first click this toggle switch mode button and make all the layers 3D layer. Then right click, choose new and camera. I will now choose a focal length of 50mm because I want a kind of neutral perspective. No depth of field, but if you want to know how to work with depth of field, as you saw in the preview, I already made a tutorial about that, so I will post a link somewhere here in the corner of this video. Yeah, as I said, just 50mm and click OK. Then again, right click, choose new and null object. Call this one camera control or controller. Also make it a 3D layer. Then please use the pick whip tool and pick whip the camera to the camera controller. And then just lock the camera so that you can't select it anymore. Okay, then with your camera controller, just click here on this Z or Z axis. And kinda, let's wait a couple of seconds. Sorry, let's zoom out a bit. Okay. And now it depends on how big you want your image. So if you want your image to be a bit smaller in comparison to your wood texture, you can either scale your image down or scale it up. It also depends on the resolution of your image. In my case, I think that it looks quite good. And now what you then can do is take your photo frame and scale it all the way down to, let's say, something around 40%. Okay. And after that, you want to duplicate the photo frame, let's say 2 or 3 times. So the first one, maybe I want to move at the top left corner right here. You can also hit R for rotation. Just rotate the Z axis, so just something like that. Please pay attention that you don't cross the borders. Sorry, let's make that full resolution. That you don't cross these borders right here, because otherwise we will get some problems later. Okay. Let's then hit Ctrl D or go to Edit and Duplicate. Now move it somewhere else. It really doesn't matter. You can really get some super random shapes right here. I just do it very rough right now. So just as I said, move it all across the image. So maybe here and again somewhere here. Also, as I said, play around with the rotation, just some of them right here. Because basically what you want to do is fill out our whole image with most or as many image frames as you can. And move it again all around the image. I think you know what I mean, so I will just do it only one more time. Okay. And maybe rotate it again. Okay, so yeah, that's basically all I have to do now. So let's close all the settings by pressing U on the keyboard. Let's make that also a bit bigger right now. And then what you want to do is duplicating your image for as many photo frames as you have. In my opinion, or my case, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I want to have 6 images, so duplicate it once, twice, and so on. So I want for each image frame 1 photo. Okay, And now what you want to do is a bit time consuming, but it definitely will look good. So take your mask tool and select the first image right here for this photo frame. And now just inside the white frame, you want to draw a nice mask. Of course, this photo frame is now a bit thin. If you have a thicker one, it may be easier to draw a nice quality mask. So just all around the corners here, and also close the mask. Because if you now, let's make that solo, you will only have your image inside the area of the photo frame. And yeah, after that you basically do the same thing for all other images right now. So I will skip that part to save some time, but I think you know what I mean, so see you again in a couple of seconds. Okay guys, so after you've finished all your images with a mask, you can now activate all your layers again. And what you can see is that our image is now only visible inside these photo frames. And what you then want to do is take your images right here and parent them to the photo frame. Okay, so just do it for all the images, because later on we only have to animate a photo frame and our images will follow that photo frame. It will make our work a lot easier. Okay, by the way, I'm sorry if I go too fast. I try to explain everything as clear as possible, but I don't want to take this or make this tutorial forever. So if you are stuck somewhere, just go back and watch some previous steps I did. And yeah, after that it's now time to find the final perspective of our camera. So in my case, I would now zoom in a bit, so maybe somewhere like here. Maybe also rotate the camera around our Z axis right here. Okay, and maybe also tilt the camera, so maybe something like here. Okay, and yeah, after you found your final angle, final perspective, it's now time to animate the photo frames outside of the frame, because as you saw in the preview, we want our images to kind of rotate or move from outside to the final position. And that's actually very easy, so select the first photo frame right here, go to the beginning of your animation, hit P for position, and also if you want to change rotation, R. You only need, by the way, the Z rotation, then hit U to only reveal the two keyframes. And now let's move forward for about, let's say, 2 seconds. It really depends on how fast you want your images to move in the center of your image. Again, use the same keyframes. Then hit J on your keyboard to jump to the first keyframes, and now just move it outside the frame, and also maybe rotate it a bit to make the animation kind of random. So if you now look, our image is now moving from outside to the inside. Of course, if you want, you can now select all the keyframes and hit F9 on the keyboard. By doing that, you will kind of make the animation a bit smoother, because they will kind of fade in, and in the end they will kind of slow down. So it doesn't look that super edgy, it will look very smooth. I usually like that kind of keyframe style, so yeah, just give it a try. And yeah, again, you want to do the same thing for all other photo frames, so I will also skip that part again, because again, I want to save some time. So yeah, once again, I meet you in a couple of seconds. Okay guys, welcome back, and yeah, after you've done all the keyframes, you should have something which looks like that. So all the images come from outside to the inside and stay there. And yeah, after that it's now time to play around with the camera animation. So what I usually like to do is add some kind of handheld or shaky cam effect. Therefore I want to go to position, alt click the position and type in wiggle. And depending on how fast you want your animation to be, I will choose maybe something around 1, comma, and let's say 100. Sorry, I have to also close that as well. And now hit 0 on your keyboard to make a short RAM preview. Okay guys, let's have a look. And as we can tell, the camera shake is way too much, so let's decrease the value of 100 down to, let's say, 50. So yeah, it's really about messing around to find the perfect value for you or the perfect value for your project. I will stop right now, and yeah, after that it's now time to animate the camera to move, for example, to another position to then yeah, show your second image, for example. So again, go to the beginning of your animation, hit P for position and also R for rotation. This time for all three axes, so X, Y and Z. Then again hit U to show all 4 keyframes. In this case, for example, you can now also move the camera a bit in. So in the beginning, maybe let's move it out a bit. Okay, and then move forward for, let's say, about 2 seconds. Then zoom in a bit. Also maybe again change the rotation. And now you have your nice camera move a bit towards the images. Okay, let's also make some keyframes for the other rotations, the axis. And now it's time to think about how long you want to look at your image before you move to the next image. So I usually choose something like about 3 seconds, because maybe you want also some text around here. So for example, let's call that, I don't know, South Africa lighthouse or so. Maybe you want 5 seconds so that everybody can really take a look, maybe laugh, talk a bit about the image. But for the moment I will now do 3 seconds hold, so I will move up to or on to 5 seconds in my timeline. Then again just click the keyframe icon to make the same keyframes as before. And now I want a nice camera move around across the wood texture, so maybe just about, let's say, 1 second. In this case let's move a bit down and also a bit to the side. Okay, set the rotation back to 0 for everything. I usually do that to always have a kind of neutral perspective, because you can always go back and change the rotation and the position a bit later. So now after that it's time to import our second image. Move that just on top, and you can also move it in time so that it just starts right now, because we don't have to make it start at the beginning. For example, if you have a video, you want your video to start when you can see it or when it moves inside your frame. Okay, and then again your image is, where is your image? I can't see it. Oh, sorry, let's make it a 3D layer as well. I can't see it. The reason is that I forgot to import my second image, of course. So just again click and drag it inside my image number 2 comp. Let's make that fit. Yeah, maybe something like that, or even a bit smaller. Okay, then go back to my construction comp right now. And now select your image number 2 and find a nice position for your image. So maybe something like here. Maybe also play around with the rotation, so hit R on the keyboard. Okay, again take your camera and move a bit out. So maybe just something like here, a very neutral position, as I said before. You can always go back and zoom in. Sorry, let's go back to our keyframes and again zoom out. Okay, it's always easier to work if you can see the whole thing instead of just a very small area. So make it fit again. And yeah, now it's time to just repeat the same steps as before. Just take a photo frame, position them on top of your image. Of course, you should always try to randomize them so that they don't look always the same. And yeah, basically just repeat the same steps over and over again. It's always the same technique as for the first image. And yeah, what also is very cool sometimes is that you also, if you have a camera, you can move or zoom in sometimes, zoom out during your image. And yeah, just play around and have fun with the animation. One thing I forgot is, let's go back to image number 1 and zoom in a bit. We don't have some drop shadow right now, because we have only some drop shadow on the inside of our images. So for example, what you can do is select the image which is on this top bottom right corner here. Also right click and choose layer styles and drop shadow. Okay, let's make that also a bit bigger, so increase the distance to, let's say, something like, let's say 15 for example. Let's make the size up to 10 and the opacity down to, for example, 60%. So it looks a bit more realistic, because in reality you always have shadows. If you put something on your desk or on a table, you always have some kind of drop shadows right here. And now you can just select drop shadow, hit Ctrl C on your keyboard to copy it, then select all other images and just hit Ctrl V to paste it. Okay, and now again hit U to close all settings. Let's zoom out a bit, and yeah, that's basically everything you need to do. Like I said, if you want to enable the depth of field inside your camera, you can just double click here and enable depth of field, but like I said, I already made a tutorial about that where I'll explain everything in full detail. So yeah, after that, the last thing I did was just took this construction comp, click and drag it into the new comp icon right here, and call the construction comp 2, just call it final, for example. I always do that to just maybe add some color correction and also import the music, because I think you can imagine that if you import 50 photos, duplicate them 3 or 4 times, you will end up with, I don't know, 200 layers. So after I finished one step inside the work process, I always like to start kinda new and have a nice clean composition. So as I said, now choose new adjustment layer, call that CC for example. And now it's time on you to add, for example, a curves adjustment layer to add a bit more contrast. Maybe something like that. You could also add, for example, a photo filter to give the overall image a bit a warmer look or a colder look. Now it looks kind of sepia or something like that. It's really up on you to get super creative here, but that's basically everything you need to know to create those kind of, I don't know how to call this technique, maybe photo collage or something like that. Okay guys, that's it for today. I hope now you know how to create beautiful photo collage animations in After Effects. Like I said in the intro, maybe you need them or you can use them in one of your wedding presentations or for birthdays. The possibilities are endless. But like always, if you find this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and also check out my other Facebook pages, Instagram pages, whatever. Yeah, like always, stay creative and have fun.